Faulty genes. Fortunately, these usually don't affect us, but they might make our children ill. It's all down to chance. If two people are carriers of a disease, they're both usually healthy. Each time they have a child, there's a chance that 1 baby in 4 will inherit normal genes. 2 babies in 4 will be carriers like their parents, and 1 will inherit the genes which produce a severe illness. 1 in 7 Greek Cypriots are carriers of thalassemia, a severe genetic disease.
Thalassemia is a disorder of the blood which is inherited and which is caused by a defective hemoglobin molecule. Hemoglobin is the molecule which is responsible for carrying oxygen from, through our blood to our tissues.
Normal blood cells are well-rounded and filled with hemoglobin. They live for about 120 days. Thalassemic blood cells are very distorted. They look empty because they hold very little hemoglobin, and they only live for a few days. These children who suffer from thalassemia have to be given a blood transfusion every 3 to 4 weeks, or else they'll die. No successful cure has been found for thalassemia, but it could be prevented by screening people before they have children. A simple blood test will find the carriers. This blood screening program was implemented by the government and the church. A certificate is given to couples who have been tested before they get married. If both are carriers, they're discouraged from having children. In practice, though, most carrier couples have risked conceiving a sick baby, and that has led to a lot of abortions. But now there is another screening test that can detect a thalassemic baby before it's born. So what is this mother going to do if the prenatal test shows that her child is affected?
Αν είναι άρρωστο θα το ρίξω γιατί δεν θέλω να είναι μεσογειακή ανεμία. Αυτό το συζήτησα και με τον σύζυγό μου και το αποφασίσαμε μαζί. Αλλά θα ξανακάνουμε άλλο παιδί.
Termination of pregnancy can of course be a difficult choice to make. However, it must be remembered that if optimum treatment is not available, or if resources are in danger of running out, so that the patients cannot receive optimum treatment, then they will die young, they will die as teenagers. So basically prenatal diagnosis is not a choice between life and death of a fetus, but it's really choosing the time of death, whether it's a teenager who's going to die or whether it's the fetus that's going to die. Also, it is giving the choice to mothers of affected children who in the past, for fear of having another affected child, were terminating normal pregnancies. It's giving these mothers a chance to have a healthy family.
Εμείς είμεθα εναντίον ως Εκκλησία εις το να διακόπτεται η εγκυμοσύνη. Η Εκκλησία θεωρεί ότι μετά την σύλληψη δημιουργείται ήδη μια ανθρώπινη ύπαρξη. Και η διακοπή της εγκυμοσύνης σημαίνει ουσιαστικώς θάνατον ή φόνον του υποκείου συνευρισκομένου τέκνου. Και γι' αυτό δεν εθαρρύνομαι. Η προσπάθεια μας είναι ακριβώς πώς να διδάσκονται οι νέοι σε τέτοια ηλικία πριν ακόμη προχωρήσουν εις σχέσεις μεταξύ των, ώστε να αποθαρρύνονται στην σύναψη γάμου μεταξύ των, εάν και οι δύο έχουν το στίγμα της μεσογειακής ανεμίας.
For most Cypriots, the screening program has been a success. Newborn babies suffering from thalassemia are now extremely rare. In the future, we may all be screened for genetic diseases. We will know what our chances are of suffering from a long list of illnesses. Whether to know is good or not is up for debate. This is a super mouse. It's twice as big as its parents. After the female's egg had been fertilized by the male's sperm in the normal way, scientists took the egg and injected it with a new growth gene. The new gene tells the egg to grow into a bigger mouse. Using this technique, farmers can genetically engineer their animals to make them more productive. Machines are already beavering away, mass-producing all these new genes. But does this mean that humans can be genetically engineered?
The real problem for humans are basically engineering problems rather than scientific breakthroughs, conceptual problems. But there's a much more basic problem than the science for making perfect babies. The problem is that we don't know necessarily what are good genes and what are bad genes. And even beyond that, there's no way set up for somebody to choose what would be a good gene and what would be a bad gene. And to whom will we give the right to say what would be a good gene and what would be a bad gene?
I don't think that there will be any difficulty in deciding which is a good gene and a bad gene, provided that the medical profession, along with parents and other lay people, agree what diseases are both intolerable and, at the moment, not capable of being cured when the baby has been born. Now, I know that there will be difficulties when we get to lesser diseases, like certain kinds of asthma, or a tendency to obesity, to getting too fat. Then it may be dubious whether we should actually intervene or simply let the baby be born with these tendencies. That, I think, is something which will have to be decided, probably ultimately by Parliament.
Obviously, the characteristics could be altered for the good, but they could also be altered for frivolous or even bad reasons. I don't think it's a good enough reason, for example, to say, I want a blue-eyed child, so therefore I will alter the genetic makeup of the child. It is possible, and this isn't just science fiction imagining, that an unscrupulous person who was able to do this could so manipulate the genetic makeup of all numbers of human beings that you could produce a kind of passive race of people who would do what they were told.